So our presentation today is on the critical factors influencing the rise of unemployment. The next page is our abstract. The COVID-19 pandemic has been one of the most difficult challenges humans have encountered in decades. Every American has and continues to be impacted by COVID-19 one way or another. Some of the worst impacted are those of which who have lost loved ones and family members. A greater portion of the population has been directly impacted by the extreme increase in unemployment due to the pandemic. United States unemployment has been challenged in recent years through technology and policy. Now, with COVID-19 being the straw that could break the camel's back, this report reviews the impact the COVID-19 pandemic has had on unemployment, as well as the negative personal and social effects that have come along with it. We will also review the shifts in the labor market due to offshoring and automation and the strain this has put on the market. We will use research to illustrate that some of these challenges, like automation, are necessary for long-term economic growth, while others like job relocation and COVID-19 need much more immediate resolutions. Our research from the Bureau of Labor Statistics helps us identify the fluidity of the factors influencing the unemployment rate and the trends in recent years. We have found that these challenges we face are not only hurting unemployment, but the American health. We will also explain what actions will need to be taken in order for us to recover from this economic crisis. The study focuses on the effects the pandemic, relocation, and automation will have on the unemployment rate in the future and how the workforce will tackle the rising numbers. Since research shows that those who are unemployed face more daunting health risks, we will also observe how unemployed individuals and their families are affected by job loss in terms of physical, mental, and social well-being. Today, we're going to start with our introduction, move on to what is unemployment, COVID-19 unemployment spike, COVID-19 economic impact, personal and social health impact of COVID-19, automation, automation efficiency, automation impact, job relocation, corporate reason for offshoring, increasing job relocation, long-term effects of offshoring, conclusion, recommendations, references, and bibliography. Our introduction. Today, we take a look at the effects COVID-19, offshoring, and automation have had on unemployment in the United States. As young adults who are entering the workforce, we are in the eye of the unemployment storm. We've watched our parents be dismissed from the work due to businesses closing, and many of us have experienced the temporary layoff due to the pandemic. Our hope is to shed light on the unemployment issue and suggest ways in which we can overcome job loss.
When it comes to unemployment, we want to know what unemployment is. Unemployment compares the number of people that are eligible to work to the number of people that are currently employed. Who determines this unemployment? The Bureau of Labor Statistics calculates this rate monthly using the current population surveys. These surveys are administered to 110,000 people by the U.S. Census Bureau to represent the entire U.S. population. The total number of people eligible to work is referred to as the labor force, and it consists of workers 16 years of age and older. Unemployment rate calculation compares the number of unemployed people to the total number of people in the labor force. The unemployment rate has fluidity. The labor force size, employment, and unemployment can all change at the same time, signaling a false alarm when this may only be due to the increase in the labor force. COVID-19 has had a great impact on the economy. The pandemic continues to impact the local and global economies as predicted. Economists predict the direct influence on the following key areas of the economy. The unemployment increase, which we will focus on mainly by eliminating 6.7% of working hours globally. Global trade decreases as well, up to 32%. We've also seen pharmaceutical supply reduction up to 60%, foreign direct investment reduced up to 40%, and international tourism greatly reduced by as much as 80%. COVID-19 in terms of unemployment. Looking at a deeper dive into the demographics of unemployment, we noticed that the unemployment increased regardless of whatever state you live in. It increases for all races, sex, age groups of the labor force as well. The highest rates of unemployment occurred in the leisure and hospitality industries, and the lowest demographic impacted are older white male workers with higher levels of education. The largest trend that we actually see looking forward, which gives us some optimism, is the fact that when comparing the recent COVID spike of unemployment to the Great Recession, it leads us to believe that this is more of a spike and maybe easier to recover from. When looking at the personal and social health impact of COVID-19, there are some common behavioral health conditions on the rise during the pandemic, and they are anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. The CDC reports a recent increase in these behavioral health symptoms, where 41% of people reported have experienced at least one or more of these conditions, and 10% reported to have suicidal thoughts. Greater than 50% of workers who have become unemployed due to the pandemic have developed at least one poor behavioral health condition. Social distancing requirements have directly influenced the decline in behavioral health. The CDC recently reported 16% of suicide deaths are due to job loss or financial problems compared to the previous 1.3%. The US government has acknowledged the reality of these issues and have set aside additional government funding of upwards of $425 million for behavioral health through the CARES Act. COVID-19 is very present in our current state today. Looking at some data put together from the CDC website, we noticed that California and some of the states with the most highly densely populated cities are still on the rise for the leaders in the cases of COVID-19.
Automation is the use of machinery to make processes faster and more efficient, often seen in manufacturing, but some other examples would be ATM, Roomba, robotics, customer support, like web chat or phone support, Amazon Alexa, iPass, or drive-through tools. Automation efficiency. This graph indicates that since the 1950s, when the assembly line was added to Ford, that we added automation, we steadily became more efficient. Automation improves and maintains our lifestyle and culture. It provides more capital for companies to make investments and create more jobs. Trend is only likely to keep increasing as newer and newer technologies enter the market. The automation impact. This graph shows that even since the 50s to present, we have not been over 10% unemployment for a sustained period of time. Automation has only made us more efficient over the years, and over time does not take away jobs at a rapid rate for long periods of time. The automation future. Industry 5.0 is predicted to set the trend of prioritizing humans back into the process. Elon Musk tweeted, "Yes, excessive automation at Tesla was a mistake. To be precise, my mistake. Humans are underrated." The emergence of collaborative robots, which allow people and machines to work together. And then the evidence suggests it creates more long-term jobs than the short-term jobs it replaces.
This leads us to job relocation. Some businesses have closed permanently while others have remained temporarily closed. These shutdowns can cause depression, stress, financial instability, home loss, and relationship strain. Since the initial pandemic shutdown in March of 2020, business closures have been steadily increasing as circumstances worsen, as is displayed in the graphs. Some corporate reasons for offshoring are to save money on salaries and raw materials. So some large companies will often take existing jobs from the US and relocate them to other countries where the living standards are lower. Thousands of manufacturing and information technology jobs are offshored every year, largely contributing to unemployment in the US. Socially and psychologically, job relocation has detrimental effects. Individuals without jobs are more likely to feel hopeless, have increased debt, have insecure housing, have increased health problems. Experiencing these personal problems can also lead to problems within family relationships, creating a domino effect. The graph will show that those who are without a job for longer periods of time are more likely to be treated for depression. So here are some long-term effects of offshoring. In terms of long-term effects, we'll notice that there are more and more fast retailers like Amazon. These companies are able to produce large quantities of goods and materials at high speeds, all at the expense of quality and safe working conditions. Localized pollution has also become a greater threat due to offshoring, as much of the carbon emissions that are produced by US companies are released into a select few victim countries such as China. Furthermore, since US-born corporations based in forest countries are exempt from American taxes, offshoring will also lead to economic inequalities in the US.
In conclusion, the confrontation of unemployment and social problem is important because it is not only a key performance indicator for the economic health of a country, but the social health as well. Through our research, we found that COVID-19 will have lasting effects on the workforce that change the way employees spend an average workday. We also found that automation tends to create more high-level performance jobs, even though it can take away from the average working class. Lastly, offshoring of jobs can have detrimental effects on the global environment and economy. Recommendations. Number 1, now that the vaccine is becoming available to everyone, we have to start opening businesses up fully so they can hire employees back in. Number 2, we have to put more focus on keeping jobs local and not sending them overseas. Number 3, automation overall is integrated to our society and needs to continue to be. It tends to take away jobs in the short term, but in the long term, it creates more jobs than what it replaces. Lastly, we need to emphasize training so that we can keep evolving our workers to keep up with innovation. Here are references and bibliography. Thank you for listening.